for the ladies. It's the Lady First Chit-Chat crew. Time for the ladies. It's the Lady First Chit-Chat crew. L-A-D-I-E-S, and we're up first. L-A-D-E-I-E-S, and we're up first. Speak what you want, unbossed. Speak what you want, unbossed. Speak what you want, unbossed. And we're up first. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. And we're up first. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. And we're up first. It's time for the ladies. It's the Lady First Chit-Chat crew. Time for the ladies. It's the Lady First Chit-Chat crew. One time for the ladies in the house. Two time make the people scream and shout. Lachelle, Chondra, Crystal with Nikki, Unbossed, and Nikki. L-A-D-I-E-S, and we're up first. L-A-D-I-E-S, and we're up first. I know I have to laugh because I'm backstage and I can see all of y'all, all of us going.
You can see us.
I can see all of y'all. Everybody like do 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 do. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ladies First Chit-Chat crew, where we honor the voice of the everyday woman. Speaking of everyday woman, hi, everyday women. Hello, fabulous.
Good morning.
Uh-oh, look at Carrie. Carrie said I'm dancing too. Uh-oh, look. Look, y'all. Carrie got her name up today. Carrie said, wait. Hi, Maya. Look at Maya. Yay.
Maya.
Hello.
We are here. Happy Saturday, y'all. It's a warm Saturday here in New York City. How is it in North Carolina?
Warm, very comfortable, gorgeous. Should I say more?
Yeah, tell us a little more. Tell us a little more.
It's just fresh air and sunshine. It's different here.
Are y'all okay? I need to call my family. I saw that Virginia got hit with the storm and
Hurricane Nicole, honey. Yes,
Hurricane Nicole came through.
Why is her name Nicole though?
Nicole's from 4B, honey. She's apartment 4B.
Honey, Nicole was like, why the ones that strong got to be a woman's name? And
Always.
And rage. Nicole is taking over the world.
We got two Nicoles here, so we know a little something about Nicole.
We know how the storm of Nicole works.
Yeah. But we're good. We're good. Nicole was cleaned up these streets, honey. She washed it all down. She washed off souls yesterday, honey.
How about that?
She left live though.
I love that. She washed off souls yesterday.
That's how strong she was.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about our show today. I'm excited about our show because it hits me a little bit. It's like we are all on my block today. Like we are all up on my street.
We're having a block party.
We have
That's such an old saying, and it cracks me up. I'm like,
That's
ooh,
church.
you walking up my street, honey.
Pastor,
You walking up my street.
Pastor, you on my street.
Pastor, you on my street. And speaking of Hurricane Nicole, this topic is all on Nicole's street today. I love our topics that we've been talking about lately. We've been really transparent and open and just really getting down to the mission of our show, evaluating where we stand and, executing and taking action to really be the amazing people that we are and that we strive to be. And I feel like one of those things, as we start to move forward in the things we want to do, we get to address those knee-jerk reactions that we have. I'm going to read our write-up today. Our knee-jerk reactions are caused by many things. It can be stress, fear, triggers, confusion. And when we don't get to the cause or the root of it and make changes, the reactions happen repeatedly. Ooh, can I say that again for the people in the back of the balcony? When we don't get to the cause or the root of it and make changes, the reactions happen repeatedly. And we find ourselves going in circles. You got me going in circles. I've been hearing that all in my head. Got me going in circles and doing the same thing, expecting a different result. What's that about? Let's unpack and let's chat about it. I first want to give a definition of what a knee-jerk reaction is. When you react quickly to something and you do not allow yourself time to consider something carefully. And you respond in a haste. And after it happens, I know I can say to myself, I say, no, what'd you do that for? What? And I have to be honest with you. I find myself, as much as I don't want to admit it, saying a little too frequently and a little too repeatedly,
what you do that for?
What'd you do that for?
Yeah.
And something on Thursday, it's hit me already. That Shelly said, we have these knee-jerk reactions when we are under stress. And I can honestly say that's something for me. It's not really the fear. And when Crystal said triggers, it was either Crystal or Nikki. Shani said confusion. We were just throwing things out. My biggest thing is I notice that I react without thinking repeatedly sometimes when I get under stress. And it's not just about stress. It's stress surrounding what? What do I always talk about? How I react to my finances and
money.
And I'm done. I'm done. I told Rebecca in the office, I'm done. And I've said it before that I'm done, but I'm done. That's why today's topic is really on my block. I feel like I'm about to be a viewer and a listener because I need help. And I need support with this so much. I can feel the throat, when you feel like
the lump
in my throat.
Yep. Like it's trying to get out.
Like it's trying to get out. Why let's just talk about knee-jerk. Let's just get into it.
Well, honestly, I think that's a good place to start. And you don't have to get into your personal, but why this time? Why this time are you done? I think that's a
really good.
That's a good place to start.
As the CEO, building this empire that I have, because I got an empire and I can't wait to share it with y'all. As a CEO, as really stepping in and knowing I am a CEO, as a CEO, my actions affect other people. My actions affect other people. And I used to say this until Shelly called me out one time. it's okay if my actions affect me. No, it's not okay if they affect me either in a negative way. It's not okay. And that's been part of the problem too, because I've been okay with it affecting me in a negative way. Because when it affects me in a negative way, it doesn't service anyone else. I'm done because I noticed that my knee-jerk reactions and this, I keep doing the same thing, not communicating or doing whatever I'm doing. It's not pushing me forward. It's not pushing me forward. And I believe that these amazing things that I'm putting on my vision board are halting because I am telling the universe, I want to stay here. I'm telling, see, Shelly, I listen.
You
I'm telling the universe that I want to stay here. I'm showing the universe that I want to keep on going in circles. And I'm done because I see the vision, um, and also I get excited, I have this passion and then there's reality. And sometimes the passion is great, but the dreamer in me keeps going, oh, it's going to be okay. And then shit happens and I do this knee-jerk reaction and I'm going in a circle again. And I'm noticing that going in this circle repeatedly, it affects me, it affects relationships, it taps into trust. I keep saying to the universe and to God that I want to be this virtuous woman, a woman of virtue, a woman of integrity. I got to quit this so I can step in and be this amazing CEO I want to be, build this amazing empire, and be this virtuous woman that I want to be. I'm done. I'm done. I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Because guess what? It stresses me out. And I don't feel good about myself when I look in the mirror. And I'm wonderful. But when I keep doing the same things, it really it hits me. It hits me.
Would you say the feeling is disappointment in yourself?
It's very very disappointed. And I'm better than that, I'm better than that. I'm better than that. And it's funny when I have that knee-jerk reaction and I get up against the wall and I go, ba ba ba, then I'll be like, what'd you do that for? Or sometimes I go, I do what I want to do. And then 3 days later, I do the same thing, I just, I don't know. It's just, I can't do it anymore. Thanks, Nikki.
It's like a personal tug of war.
It's a personal tug of war. And I truly believe I am not where I see myself and where I want to be because I keep doing the same thing with these knee-jerk reactions and expecting a different result. And like Shelly says, you're telling the universe that you're okay here. I'm not okay here. And I'm good when it's people I don't know. It's the people that I do know and the people that I do love and the people that do support me, that do think I'm amazing and great and want to help me. That's where I end up,
Well, I think you hit on a lot of things. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you for your candor and being so brave in what you just said. What our audience doesn't know is like, yeah, we have a meeting about, topics and things like that. But what we share, this is not pre-planned. So we didn't necessarily know that Nikki was going to share in the way that she just did. I was going to say this, though. We are all the CEO of our lives, though, right? So you're not different in that respect. Everybody should really be looking at themselves in the very same way. How is this decision affecting me? And others and all like that, but me first, right? That's what this show was built on. And I think that that's something that I share with you to say, you're not alone. As solitary as it feels, if people were really, really honest, the human experience is doing that to all of us. And I think, and here's what I'm gonna tell you, look at me right now in the camera, people lie. Oh, you lying, you're a liar. Everybody has something. And then I'll go on somebody's street. I call them on my street. Gaining and losing 30, 40 pounds, gaining and losing. Same thing. What did you just say? Same thing, different results, the patterns, the behavior. That might be, my street. Somebody else's street might be, you talked about knee jerk, and I just kept hearing impulsive, right? Like some people, it might fall in impulsivity. Guess what the other side of that is to me, being passive. I never do anything, so I never get anywhere. Or I jump and I'm impulsive. Do you know what I'm saying? Everybody has something. So people really need to cut the BS like, oh, well, I got it together. Oh, really, chick? If I knew you 5 more minutes, I could tell you how this relates to you too. So I just needed to say that to clear the air and to release you of I'm not discounting everything you said, but it's not solitary at all. Right. So that's one point. Another point I wanted to make is interesting. I was just listening to Bishop Jake say this, and it was so funny because he said it was not a similar topic, but he said to himself, he said he was driving with his wife because before his ministry became what it is, it was many years where it was not this mega ministry, right? And he said, and a lot of people in this life have lost houses and gotten that, children do things or, loss. And then you muster up what you need to, and you get back up again, you stand back up again. And he said he was done. Just what you just said. He said, I was done. And he said, we were in the car and I said to my wife, I'm never going to be broke again. He said, I made the decision in the car that day. So whatever he was doing before, he didn't get into the details. Details don't matter. It is the decision that you just made to say, this stops today, right? The how, Shelly will say, don't worry about the how. I know. But the decision is what the important thing is. And we all have to make that. I charge us all to say, like, maybe you don't have to share what it is, but we have to make a decision, or we'll be, New Year's resolutions, the same resolution every year. Oh, it's my birthday. I'm really doing different things now. You doing the same thing. Look, we've been friends 30 years and you've been doing the same thing. Me and you've been doing the same thing. So you feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What you just did was where we all should be in terms of saying, enough. I've had enough.
That's the first step.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think that's the answer to the question that Maya just put on the YouTube platform. She said, personal tug and war. How do you stop pulling on both ends of the rope? You decide.
You decide which end you quit.
But I think it's you decide. I've decided plenty of times, now it's the execution.
I can lend something to the execution part.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. You are on delay.
In and out by chance?
No. Your vocals are on delay.
Okay, I wanted to say something, but I'm gonna try to come in and out. If I'm flashing in and out, I apologize to everybody. For some reason, I can't even close the screen, so apologize.
Okay.
We got you, girl. I find when I think back about knee-jerk reactions in my own life and watching people have them, me included, I realize that there is this pressure we put on human beings. Right? It's like if someone asks you a question, it's like there's this crime in not having an answer, right? Which there isn't a crime. We don't know all things at all times. I think that pressure is put on children, right? I remember being young child. My grandmother, downtown Julie Brown, if she asked you a question, honey, you better had an answer. And it was like, and often the question was why. And, I also say why don't matter either, right? But again, it's like you feel this pressure, like there's some trouble you will be in if you don't have an answer. And we have this sort of societal conditioning around not taking your time with things, right? Like being able to have this quick response. And some of it, I think, lends itself to the thought or belief that if I have an immediate answer, that makes me look smart or it makes me look authoritative, or it makes me look any of these adjectives that most people would consider to be good qualities. If I don't have an answer, maybe that makes me look dumb. Maybe that makes me look stupid. Maybe that makes me look foolish. Maybe that makes me seem like I don't belong in this room of people, right? And we don't want that. But the truth of the matter is the dumbest thing you could do is create an answer that ain't correct. Because once you do, it starts sending everything off into the wrong direction. So what I would say to Maya's question about how do you stop pulling at both ends, I think one of the biggest things we could do for ourselves is actually give ourselves permission to not know, right? I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know what's next for me. I don't know why I keep losing money or losing friends or gaining weight, or I don't know. And if you say you don't know, you have space to find the answer. But if you immediately give an answer, then the quest to figure it out authentically ends right there.
I think that's a really good point too. But it also, and it also speaks to what we were talking about. A lot of times we're doing things because this is what we've always done. And so I always have the answer, or I always make something up to say, or I always feel like I need to respond in this way that has, it must be because, you got sick because you didn't have your scarf on when you went out. Like, you could go out without your scarf and not get sick. So that having the answer thing, I think is really key here too, because we feel like we don't even know we're doing that. That's another thing, Nikki, as we were talking about this stuff. Sometimes you don't realize that something will happen to make you say like, wow, I've been in the same place for 10 years, in the same emotional place, or the same place that I, quote unquote, don't want to be in. But what am I doing? So I think the recognizing ourselves in this thing is really important too. And I would ask, all of us, how do you know that this is something that is an issue where your point is, where you have a knee-jerk response and then maybe feel like when I do that, I'm messing something up?
I can honestly say for me, I am stressed. I think I am the most stressed I've ever been. I can see it in the mirror. I can see it in my eyes. I can see it when I walk down the street. I feel it. My bones hurt. Like it's starting to affect me physically. That's how I.
Are you stressed? Right. This is a question for everyone to ask themselves. For you, stress is a signal that you're in this knee-jerk cycle, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the question is the stress because perhaps you don't have the answers, or is the stress because you feel like I'm back here again? It's not even about the issue. It's about repeating the experience. Like
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
I think the stress is, wow, I'm here again. And I said I wasn't going to be here again.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stress, and that's what makes me disappointed,
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me disappointed. I think the stress also comes from, I don't have the answers,
Well,
I don't like, and I think where my knee jerk, and Carrie said, Nikki, what does your knee? I think she said something. What is your knee jerk reaction looks like? I want to know the answers, and that falls into my people pleasing stuff.
But are you listening for the answers, or are you trying to create the answers?
I'm finally listening to the answers, but my knee-jerk reaction is I try to create the answers. And that's where the overpromise, under-delivering happens. And then that's when the deadlines come and shit. You like,
yes.
And then you stress, and then you're like, well, damn, I'm in the same place I was in 2 years ago.
Yourself down the street.
And then what happens to me, the things that I write in my journal, and all this stuff that I want to be. I start doing the beat up game, the stuff that we talk about on the show we don't want to do, you know, and then I get quiet and I don't talk to anybody, and then that's the problem too. That's the knee-jerk reaction too. Instead of going, okay.
Well, because there's shame attached with
Mm-hmm.
what comes behind the knee-jerk reaction. If you knee-jerk and it works out, then no problem. You'll tell people, talk to people, ask for a little bit of help here and there. But if you do the knee-jerk and it isn't working out, and you're in a worse place, or you're back to the same, you're back to square one, then you're quiet about it because you have shame about it. You're like, oh my God, here I go again. Well, how did I get here again? And then you don't ask for help. And then technically, if you're not asking for help, you're not open to answers.
If you don't ask for help,
you're not open to answers. You're not open to this thing resolving itself, right? Because again, the human thing is I'm the CEO of my life. I need to lead the charge. I need to make the plan. I need to have my answers for my stuff. But that's not true. Your answers are out here, like in the ether. They'll show up if you just get clear about what you want an answer to. So you're not making space for an answer if you're not asking for help, if you're not sitting still, if you're not taking a pause, if you're not saying, I don't know what's going on for me right now. If you're not saying that, you're not ready for actual answers.
Well, I do have to say, that's where I was before. And I think the turning point was when I told y'all, she's watching today, Miss Pat. Miss Pat, you missed last week. We had a little birthday. Hey, happy birthday, but you weren't on because you were doing the walk. Anyway, happy birthday, Miss Pat. Look, Mama, this is what we did last week for you. Happy birthday. It's over. It's the 12th. But no, happy birthday, Mom. I think the turning point for me was when I told you guys what was going on. I said a prayer and I picked up the phone and I called my best friend. I called my mom and I told her what was going on with me. And I asked for help. And she helped me. And not, she helped me in a way of what do we do next? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, And I even, as an adult, I was like, I don't need to hear all that. I need help. What do? I have a really good friend that I talk to on a regular basis. I need help. I'm starting to ask for help with things that I know aren't necessarily my zone of genius. It's not that I can't do it, but it's not my zone of genius. So let me ask for help. Having Rebecca on my team, I finally asked for help instead of yesterday allowing my ego to get in the way, because my ego wanted to go, Becca, go home. I'll figure it out. I told her, this is how I really feel, but I really need your help and I want you. And she went, and I'm here. She did. And we got stuff done. But I was not asking for help. And what's happening is, I have to be honest with you, I love to work out. I love to move my body. I love to teach my class. I have not bought my class back yet because I haven't bought my class back yet because I'm tired and I'm stressed and I don't feel like myself. And I don't feel like I can give my best to, and it's all because I keep making the same knee-jerk effing reactions. And that's why I said, done. I don't want to do.
I feel like I've been listening and absorbing this morning. Praise the Lord, everybody. But it's very interesting. The me just sitting back listening to you, I just keep. I know I say it all the time, but it's so simple to me in my mind, the phrase of just going back to the basics. Like, I feel like, have you guys ever heard like your grandmother or like a older person in your life always say like, you had the tools a long time ago, you just never used them. It's been, you know, Autumn's mother, she's always say like, you know, everything's in the house, meaning like here. She's like, you have everything in the house. Everything you need from start to end is already in the house. You just have to tap into it. And so these conversations make me think about, you know, people that's been in our lives that have planted seeds of things that we need way back when we were younger, you'd be like, girl, get out of my face. Like some of your mamas, they'd be like, girl, please. And now it's like regurgitating itself. And you'd be like, my mama said that when I was 15. My mama said that when I was 25. God, my mama said that when I was 40. Like, you know, those things. And I was thinking, I was talking about my dance teacher last week, and I bring him up again this week because he was really, really instrumental in like developing. A lot of people don't know this, but my father was, my dad was stationed away. Our family decided that my dad was in the military. My dad would go instead of us uprooting the whole family and moving every 3 years like how he had to do. So he would go be gone during the week and come home weekends and like, or whatever. It worked out. So Mr. Robinson, at that core time that my dad was moving and shaking and coming in and out, he was the male that was like, no, this is how you do. This is what you do. You can't do it. Big blah 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 blah. This is how women should carry themselves and blah blah blah. But when you talk about knowing and not knowing things, that was one of his largest lessons with his kids, period, is you don't have to know everything. It's okay not to know anything. It's actually more admirable to not know things and be okay and be open and vulnerable to someone teaching you what said thing is that you don't know. He made us actually verbalize the words, I don't know. Like he would ask a question in class, and if you didn't know the answer, you couldn't say like, just like be quiet or whatever. He would say, verbalize, say, I don't know the answer. Say that. And it's a practice that, you know, he was making us do to get in the habit of being okay with saying, I don't know. And now, you know, it just flies off the handle, not even thinking about it. I just be like, oh shit, I don't know. You know, but it's a practice. I feel like, you know, I say this all the time. 99.99999.9% of our behavior is learned. And so we have to learn how to be okay with not knowing actions and reactions or whatever. You know, those are all learned behaviors. And once you learn how to place yourself or how to, you know, take a moment and breathe and then act or react, you know, that's something that we did. That's where the knee jerk comes in. Because I remember being, you know, my 20s, I was, somebody send help. Because my knee-jerk reactions were like, so much so that people start using that as like a description for me. Like, oh, she flies off the handle, you know, call Shawnee because she'll check them, you know, like, you know, that became a thing for me. And I hated that. I hated it so much, but that was how I was feeling at that time. And I didn't know how to reel it back until I was moved away from home on my own, having to really focus and understand. And then those lessons that came that were planted way back when when I wasn't really listening, but somebody just kept planting them and kept watering them, then they started coming back and be like, oh, no, no, no. Oh, we can't act like that. I can't do that. I can't react like that. Because that's not what I really mean. And that's not how I want to move forward in this as well. So this conversation is like bringing that back up for me. It's just like, go back to the basics. We got everything we need in the house. We just got to go and find it and then use it.
I love what you said, Connie, about going back to the basics. I think for me, I love that. It's a particular thing. I go back to the basics with my training. I go back to the basics with this and that. If I don't know, Maya's on. If I don't know the answer, I mean, all of y'all know, I'll go, I don't know the answer. I don't have a problem saying I don't know
with
and
your
different
training,
things
when you're training
and other things. Or if if I'm singing, if I don't know something, I don't know. It's something around me and my financial situations. And that's where I have to, the knee-jerk reaction for me is to go back to the basics of what I do with everything else and bring that over here. Because I can do it everywhere else. It's this realm. It's this realm, how I react or what I do or what I say. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, really focusing in on the topic of knee-jerk reactions, there's stages, I think, right? And so the reason why you have knee-jerk reactions, and I'm just like thinking this out, it's habit, it's familiar, it's comfortable, it's norm, right? It's something you can manage. It's something you know what the outcome is going to be. But even with that, knowing the outcome, you might even think you can manage it differently because right? So that's a knee-jerk reaction, right, to me. The second stage of it is when you don't like that you keep getting the same response, is really noticing and feeling what the experience is like every time you do it. And sometimes it's faster for some people than others when it really hits them as to, I got to do something different, right? Because it's not the first time that maybe you've done something, or any of us have done something that we realized it had impact on someone else, right? The fact is, at some point, and that's the part I think we all have to realize, everybody comes to that point at different times, but at some point, you will reach a point where it's like, I can't move. This can't happen anymore.
It's affecting me. Yeah, Nikki.
But it affected you before. But at some point, everybody has a different threshold, right?
Yeah.
And then when that happens, right, the next piece of that is, what do you put in place? There are some people who can tell themselves, you know what, I keep doing the same thing every single time. So you know what, next time when this happens, I'm just going to say no. I'm not one of those people. Right? I'm going to keep hope alive or whatever, thinking, whatever. The point is, I'm not one of those. But when you get to your point, like it sounds like you might be, then maybe you start to put in place boundaries that prevent you from doing that knee-jerk reaction. Because now you're standing in place with a different perspective. I don't have it now because I was having trouble going in and out, but Rebecca said it like perfectly, if you could find it. She talked about going around in a circle in a roundabout, I think it was, and you keep wanting to make that turn and the traffic keeps getting in your way. That goes back to what I said earlier of it being a personal tug of war. Eventually, you'll get out, you'll find the exit, like Rebecca mentioned. But that's what's been happening, You found the exit, to her point. Now the question is, how do you get through it? And that's what you begin to solve for yourself at this point.
And if you don't find the exit, you fall through the trap door, which is look at you. But you know what? I recognize
through the trap door, through the crack in the window, through like
the trap door. But you know what I'm realizing in this conversation? I'm thinking about people that I've worked with in my practice. And I see a lot of, I mean, we just do this as humans, this knee-jerk reaction. I'm realizing that cousin knee-jerk shows up right at the point when you feel or see or even know that things are going to fall apart. It is that point when you're like, this is going to fall apart. I have to have something, right?
Wow.
Something to keep it from falling apart. The reality is that's the trapdoor, which most of the times it needs to fall apart for you to find different answers. Right?
That's scary though.
It is scary.
Scary.
A trapdoor is a trapdoor. You're gonna fall through no matter what.
But you know what though? It's real though, because some of the stuff that I'm dealing with right now, the knee-jerk reaction was because I saw it about to fall apart. And and I'm gonna be honest with you, it needed.
And that's when we all need to stop.
It needed to fall apart, because what happened as a result of the knee-jerk reaction, now done fell apart.
Well, here's the thing, right? The thing is when something looks like it's going to fall apart, and all signs lead to this is about to self-destruct, it is our imagination that tells us that it is going to fall apart, because we don't know that it will for sure. It's also our imagination that takes us to the worst version of the fall apart, right? It's not just going to crumble. It's going to crumble, set on fire, mudslides, volcanoes, like it's going to be. And the reality is that if something in your world, your experience, your situation really feels like it's about to fall apart, it has gotten to that place for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to, Shelly, I want you to respond to what I'm going to say though, because Nikki described this particular knee-jerk scenario as a pattern. So yes to what you just said, but I really would like for you to address, or all of us to address, like, if this is a pattern, then everything all the time related to this particular issue can't be that it's going to fall apart. Like, so so I really want to address that, because Nikki, the way that you described this particular knee-jerk response is not new, right? So so this particular one is where you're like, you know.
I think what happens is it's not new. It is a pattern, but
the pattern is I think it's going to fall apart.
The pattern is
that it did.
But what happened is, because I'm playing a bigger game now. I'm playing a big game now. I'm about to go to the hot, like you talking about. I am on the pinnacle of success that I have never even felt or seen. Like I am there, but it's the pain, and I'm playing a bigger game. And this time, by playing the bigger game, now that I don't have the tools, the fall apart is bigger. And
well, part of the issue also is that learning, I believe, and I don't know, I've never asked you guys this, so I would ask if you believe this as well, or what you believe when it comes to this, is about lessons. Like, do you believe that the same thing happens until you learn the lesson?
Yes.
I'm with you on that.
Shawnee hold on. There we go.
I am with you on that, because it is the same lesson. It's the same lesson, but this time the lesson is bigger, and this time I'm realizing that
the drop is steeper.
The drop is steeper. However, this lesson, and I'm starting to feel like a little bit right now, I had to get here, because as a result of getting here, it has forced me to put everything in place on where I'm about to go. It's also forced me to take things in digestible chunks. I like to take things wide and big, and if I can't take it all at one time or pay it all at once, I'm now starting to take things, and maybe that's the lesson, because before I didn't take things in digestible chunks because I could
Well, that is it. I mean, that's part of it. Like you were saying, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I do believe things happen over and over again until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn.
And
right?
it's so
figure out how
funny.
you do things differently.
It's so funny. Maybe it's that, because I think about it just now that you said that, Shani, learning the lesson. I mean, you've been with me at 5 o'clock in the morning. This is just a bigger version of what we talked about 3 years ago, And 3 years ago, if I would have put the things in place, things might be a little bit different. But maybe maybe it was supposed to fall apart on a bigger scale, because as a result of it, it is forcing me to put everything in place and bring the right people along in their zone of geniuses to help me move it forward. And I have to trust in that. But
I don't know that the lesson needs to happen in a bigger way. The lesson doesn't care. The lesson's like, until you get me, I'm gonna keep showing up. So if you want to do it over here while you in your bedroom at 13, cool. If you want to do it at 65 when you standing on the global stage, fine. I'm gonna stay until you get me, right? I'm not gonna leave until you get me. So I don't know that it's like it for you. I think it goes back to, I don't know if Crystal said it or Nikki said it. It goes back to like, there is something in this moment, in this experience, that is hitting you differently, right? It's that threshold, Nikki said. This is your threshold. Like, the stakes are way too high, and it is pushing me into a place where I am going to do things differently, right? I could have been 12 trying to learn the same lesson, and the stakes for me was like, if I didn't do this, I'm not going to my girlfriend's party. And that was enough for me, right? That was my threshold. So I don't know that, like, I don't want us to think, well, if I don't get it now, like the better, the quicker you get it, and the more you let it happen, the more you allow yourself, even privately, to be vulnerable, to recognize that what you're doing or what you're trying to do isn't working, the quicker you'll get the lesson. The lessons are always harder when they're bigger, right? But the universe don't care. It's like, 12, 7, 40, 74, it doesn't matter how old, we'll stay until you get it. That's what your soul came here for, right? So, but for us, the stakes are higher, the losses are bigger. And if we look at the small things as the stakes are high, because it's impacting me. You said this, Nikki. You said, like, for a long time, I just kept going because it was only affecting me, right? But you are as important. I dare I say, you're more important than anyone else who relies on you, who knows you, who looks up to you. You are more important. So the stakes are very high the moment it occurs, because
they're very high anyway.
Right.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's the way we should look at it. I want to bring it back to health for a second. So let's just say gaining, losing weight, that's very common amongst a lot of people. I went to my doctor a few years ago, and she said, you need to lose weight, and if not, then this, and this will happen. Right. And she said to me, we had a really good conversation about, like, health related, issues, foods, what have you. Then she says, well, 80% of my patients come to me for preventable diseases. You can do so now. Many people then don't really make the changes. They keep, because they're like, well, this is just affecting me. Well, it's just this wedding, or I'm just going to eat this for this. I'm only gained 5 pounds this year. Only go, that whole thing. But really, that is affecting me. It's affecting blood pressure. It's affecting knees. It's affecting, the fat around your heart. It's affecting all this kind of stuff. So now, am I going to listen to her when she says to me, all you got to lose is 15 pounds, right? If all I got to lose is 60 pounds now, that is taking me into diabetes, all these other things that are, so the situation is not different. The stakes, right? Like, did I have to wait till the stakes are cancer
to have a knee-jerk reaction?
You understand? So it's really important that we look at certain things. And I want to say this to you specifically because you mentioned the areas that you don't see this knee-jerk behavior, and I really admonish us all to think about what those things might be for us. But as an athlete, you've been an athlete your entire life, so the knee-jerk doesn't show up there. That the knee jerk doesn't show up in other areas that you are a supreme expert in. I'm not trying to, put off things and excuses or whatever, but a lot of times we don't learn money. All we learn is what we saw our parents. What's that? I hate this expression, but robbing Peter to pay Paul. Well, I'm gonna pay the light bill, and then next week I'm gonna pay and then you find yourself sometimes doing that, and you never really so there's a part of it to say, okay, yes, you can take a class, yes, you can do seminars and stuff about money, but what if you really, really don't know? And then you're behaving as if and it's manifesting itself as knee-jerk responses to this, because now it's going, because you would never do that with stuff that like, can't nobody tell me about my body and what's the thing with your knee? Osteoporosis, whatever. She got something with her knee.
Osteoarthritis.
But osteoarthritis. But this girl has whatever the arthritis. I can't even say it in her knee, and still is a premier athlete. She knows what to do.
That's where not having the shame, and your very point, Crystal. It's like if you stop having shame about not knowing, and you do what Shawnee said, which is say you don't know. Like, it's a good thing to say you don't know. Then what you didn't learn about money, what you didn't learn about weight, what you didn't learn about eating healthy or whatever it is, you can access that information because you're not hiding because you feel ashamed for not having an answer. You're being open to discovering answers, letting answers find you. You'll ask questions.
It's a very different feeling. It's a very different feeling from coming into it from a place of shame, or how can I do this again, or I can't believe I'm here again, or you can't even get to this wonderful place that you'll go from that place. Yeah. So the place that you're at now, where you're like, I open my hands, I need help, whatever that help is, I think is a very sincere, honest, and brave place to be able to go to where you should be, or where you desire to be. Did you hear before you respond? Did you hear that?
That's what I'm about to say. I'm about to tell you. Yeah, I receive that, and I hear that, and I also all four of y'all are making really great points, and it even made me go back to what Nikki said about boundaries. Because my thing is, I do have to be honest with you, I know how to handle money well. That's not my problem. Handling my finances, handling actual money and knowing where to go is not the problem. It's the relationship, and it's the relationship around it. That's the difference. That's what I'm realizing. And that's where the thing when Nikki said about the boundaries, it's the relationship. And Shelly said the how, not worried about the how, not worrying about the how. I realize as I'm coming into this CEO, I know what to do. I know how it goes. I know what to do. Rebecca will tell you, blah, blah, blah. She like, okay, it's the relationship. That's where I get to draw boundaries and take things in digestible chunks. And like Shawnee was saying, taking the things from saying I don't know. It's saying what I don't know. It's the relationship around it, and it's the stuff around there I don't know, and taking the feeling and the emotion out of it. I put y'all know I am a feely. I need to be a little bit more bottom line and take the feeling and emotions, draw a boundary, and say this is what it is. That's
and you know what? Some of us struggle with setting our own boundaries, right? And what I experienced in my own life is when I say what I don't know, right? And when I say that I'm like at a loss, the people around me help me set those boundaries. Now that they know that there's this area that I'm not sure about, or I'm struggling in, or I need help in, they're helping to hold the boundary. They're creating boundaries for me. Like, girl, but you said this, so here's what, they're holding me accountable. They're saying simple little things that are helping me develop my own boundaries around the issue I'm trying to change for myself. But again, we can't get that community support, that friend support, without saying this is an area I don't know something in.
Communication is the biggest form that we, especially as Black folk, color folk, we forget. We're not taught to communicate. You should be like, okay, be quiet, go on, sit down. But I literally just told my wife this yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday. I was just like, I don't care what you're doing. I mean, it has nothing to, especially when it comes to finances. I don't care what you do with our money. Just tell me. Like, just be like, oh, I need to go do this. Okay, boom, boom. Like, we're good. It's the act of actually verbalizing and communicating if you're wrong, if what you're doing, how you want to do it. We get stuck in this ego of like, oh, I'm grown and I can do what I need to do and I can move and shake without saying anything. And it's not that you're not grown, and it's not that you can't do it. But when you communicate out loud, even if it's like mindless communication, you're just saying it to say, it says something. We were talking about this with manifesting as well. It unlocks something outside of you when you start speaking it out loud, what you want to do, how you need to do it, why you need to do it. And then it makes a contract with whomever hears it, because then it's like, that's the boundaries that you're creating. That's the stuff that now somebody else is in agreement with you. Oh yes, you want to do this. I heard you say that. Didn't you say last week that you wanted to pay off such and such? By how'd that go? Were you able to pay it off? Stuff like that. It's communication, open communication.
Nah, girl, I bought some hair with that
money. I agree with Shani though on that, and because I think some of it too with myself. I've been so used to being a solopreneur, and now I got a team that I'm developing. I was so used to doing everything by myself, and I'm breaking out of that. And this morning I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was communicating on what I needed and what I wanted, and they know where I'm going and what I'm doing. And the first thing they said was, okay, Nick, yeah, you do this, but this part, not in these words, but basically this part ain't your zone of genius. And before you get impulsive and start doing a relationship, let's instead of putting this person on at the end, let's communicate and get this person involved
in the beginning. Amen.
And they said that to me this morning, and then listening to Shani right now. Not that I wasn't on board this morning, but listen to Shani. Right? Thank you, Shani. Listen, it's I guess it's an Aries thing. I guess both Aries, and listening to that, and then listening to what Shani just said, coupled with that boundary thing, because that person would also support me in developing boundaries as I move forward.
Yeah, see, your friend this morning and Shani right now is exactly an example of what I said. You say it out loud, and then the contracts, like Shani said, they start to form.
Right. I know at time y'all had such a full conversation, but knee-jerk reactions are not all bad, and I just wanted to put that out there.
They are not.
We spent the whole entire hour speaking about it. But if anybody else is listening out there, there's some of us who probably could implement a couple of knee-jerk reactions. And I would be one of them, right? Like, they're not all bad. As soon as you say knee-jerk reaction, people think negatively, because it means that you didn't take time to think it through, or really take it apart and process it, to make sure it's going to make sense and all that kind of stuff. And that's how people miss out on opportunities too. So I think it's really important
especially in your situation, Nikki, or anybody else in a situation where it's about opportunity and seizing opportunity. When you realize you're doing it so much, yes, eventually maybe you might hit, yes, you have to reevaluate. But I just didn't want us to close out the show not recognizing the fact that knee-jerk reactions are not all bad.
It can be beneficial.
Right.
But is it called knee-jerk, or is it called seizing the moment? Or is it the same?
What it's called is, when it's negative, it's knee-jerk. When it is for your benefit to seize the moment and take an opportunity, it's called spontaneity.
Spontaneity. Okay.
But it's still a knee-jerk reaction.
The
activity is a knee-jerk reaction. Somebody presents you with an opportunity to make some money and make an investment in a real estate deal. You say no or yes.
Yep.
They end up with millions of dollars and rich, and you don't because you didn't invest.
Or you said yes.
And you said yes, and you're the millionaire.
Yes.
So the point is they're all knee-jerk reactions. And that's what I think that's what I wanted to make sure you realize, is that it's not it doesn't have to be negative. It's about how we manage those instances, those experiences, and back to the relationships and how you're managing whatever that thing is for yourself. But knee-jerk reactions are not all bad.
Well, I've made a lot of positive knee-jerk reactions. I can tell y'all that.
Of course.
And that's case in point, right?
That's Shelly, can you repeat what you just said? Because I missed part of it. You said something is knee-jerk, the other.
I think when we're responding to fear of what
okay, I didn't hear you.
It's more knee-jerk. And when we're responding to opportunity, right? The activity, like Nikki said, is still knee-jerk, but you're really being more spontaneous. When you're responding to fear, that word knee-jerk seems to be the thing we say, because we're just acting so we don't let things fall apart, so we can remain in control of something we don't know how to control, obviously. That's why we keep cycling through the same thing.
I think that's a very, very, very key point.
The reason why I brought it up, though, Nikki, I think when someone looks at you and they say to you, I'm just saying you in my statement, and they say you just have all these knee-jerk reactions. I think for yourself, you're also going to receive it very negatively. And that was the point that I wanted to make. It's how you're managing that experience, what you're doing with it, that's negative. The fact that you have the ability, the courage to want to jump in is not bad.
That's such a good point.
And that is the activity of knee-jerk reaction.
So good.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Because y'all know I jump in.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, I'm not. But y'all know I used to jump out the plane with the backpack, with just the backpack. Now she got a little parachute on. I want to read what Candace said really quickly. Candace, before we end, I know we're over. I think most of us have written a particular script for our lives. We've designed each character, including ourselves, according to what is comfortable to us. When our life feels like it goes off script, we get anxiety. We're angry, we blame others, but truly you can author a new story for yourself, inclusive of the happy ending that you want, then act accordingly. Yes.
That's a nice way to wrap that up.
That's a nice way to wrap that up.
From the script writer.
Yeah, from the script writer. From the script writer.
She knows what she's talking about.
Producer that, look, I'm going to call you today. No, this has been a great show. I want to thank y'all and the viewers I know I got a little personal today, and I hope I wasn't making it all about what I was going through, which I feel like I may have, but
no,
I hope
it set the floor. It was a great example, something tangible for us to utilize to work through this subject.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, starting out understanding, from your perspective, how you feel, what was different. A lot of people could relate independent of the situation.
I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And one day y'all will know what I'm talking about when I have this fabulous book that I'm going to write years from now, or maybe not years from now. I have told myself in my journal, I may not talk about it, the details now, but it is something that I will put in my book because I know it will help everybody, entrepreneurs, whoever, all of us, of what I am experiencing at this moment. I love y'all. Um, Inclusive of the happy ending that we want. And then we will act accordingly. I love that. Thank you, everybody, for listening today, for tuning in to us. Those knee-jerk reactions. Also, remember, go get our shirts. Go get a shirt. Go to the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew.com and go buy a shirt. These shirts are amazing. Have these special sayings on them. Go get a shirt. And remember to keep y'all go follow us on Instagram. We need to get our Instagram stuff up. That'll be on me. That's my fault. Go follow us on Instagram at the Ladies First Chit Chat Crew. Also, you guys know that we have a new Ladies First Chit Chat Crew page. Our old page is going to get deleted by next week. And our Wonder Woman Need Love too. People follow us at the Ladies First Chit Chat Crew. And yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming on. Does anybody else want anything to say before we wrap this thing up? Before I put our little theme song on and get us out of here on a Saturday? Like Nikki said, not all knee-jerk reactions are bad. Knee-jerk reactions can be great, the spontaneity. And let's just continue, like Shani said, be in communication. And just like we all said, be open to asking for help and communicating so the universe can send all those things to us that we need. Have an amazing Saturday, everybody. Enjoy the weather. We love you. We're the Ladies First Chit Chat Crew, where we honor the voice of the everyday woman.
what you want. Unbossed. Speak what you want. Unbossed. And we're up first. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. And we're up first. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. And we're up first. It's time for the ladies. It's the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew. Time for the ladies. It's the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew. One time for the ladies in the house. Two time make the people scream and shout. Lachelle, Chondra, Crystal with Nikki, Unbossed, and Nikki. L-A-D-I-S, and we're up first.
Bye, y'all.